Hi, I'm White from Speakly, your personal French tutor, and in this video we will dive into some words and phrases in French that are super difficult to pronounce. Even though it might seem that the way you pronounce words in French doesn't remind you of anything of how the word looks like on paper, then there are actually pretty simple rules in French pronunciation that you can take into account. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you've looked at a French word like heureuse, for example, and you've thought that, how am I supposed to say this word? Or this word here, which by the way is one of the longest words in French. And you may have also thought that French people have done this by purpose. They just want to see us suffer and they want to feel good about their own perfect pronunciation. But don't worry, pronunciation in French actually isn't that difficult, and I will show you by analyzing some of these words. Let's go. So the first word is serrure, which actually means a lock. Let's say this word once again, it's serrure, serrure. And there are some things that you notice in this word. For example, that you pronounce a U in a sentence as a U, and you also have the usual French R, which is r, coming straight from the throat. So I've heard many people pronounce this word as serrure or sir. or something else like that. It sounds like a insect impersonation, but actually it's pretty simple. Serrure. So the next word, bouilloire, actually has a few French pronunciation rules in it. The first thing that you notice is OU in the first syllable of this word, and you always pronounce this as a OU. Bouillie. Bouillie. The next thing that you notice is if you see a double L, it usually becomes a J in a way. It's bouillie, bouillie. It's like in Spanish, you say calle, bouillie. And the next thing that you notice here in this word is OI, which always becomes wa, wa. So together you will have bouilloire, bouilloire. The next word is a tricky one, it's cueillir. It has a few rules in it as well. The same thing, a U always becomes a U, and the double L becomes a J, as I was saying, so you will have cueillir, cueillir, cueillir. The next word is usually a tricky one for French students, and they always get it wrong. It's l'œil, which usually is used in a plural form, les yeux. But coming back to the singular form, there is one pronunciation rule that you need to take into account. It's an O and E usually become an E. So you will say l'œil, l'œil, l'œil. The next word is a tricky one. It's chirurgie, chirurgie. Again, we have some pronunciation rules in this word. CHI always becomes she. She. Then you have the bumbling R's, as usual in French, which comes directly from the throat. So, prendre. You just need to practice this a little bit. It needs to come directly from the throat. So basically, you go way back into your throat and you try to say the letter R. Another thing that you notice is the letter U, which always becomes a U. And the ending of the word is J. J. So if you put it all together, it's chirurgie, chirurgie. The next word is a funny one. I've had a lot of fun pronouncing this word while I was learning French years ago. It didn't make any sense to me. Why should it be yaourt when it's yogurt in basically all languages? But yeah, in French you will have the word yaourt, and again we have some pronunciation rules here that we can pinpoint. Again, O and U become a U, and that's basically the only thing you need to keep in mind. You just say ya, u, rt, yaourt. So the next word is a very common one. It's heureux. It means happy, and I use this in French conversations literally every single day. In general, it's actually a very common word that you need to know if you want to speak in French, but it's a very tricky one for beginners in the French language. So let's look at the word heureux. Again, we can pinpoint some pronunciation rules. The first thing that you will notice is that it has the combination EU in it. And this always becomes an E. Just keep this in mind. This always becomes an E. And actually, if you look at this word, it has 2 instances of this rule happening. And that's what usually makes this word so difficult to pronounce. But if you boil it down like that, and just keep in mind that EU usually becomes an E, and that's the first thing, you never pronounce the letter H, then you will have a simple pronunciation heureux, heureux. Very often, especially in adjectives, the ending of a word has an X there as well, with EU and X, and obviously the letter X isn't pronounced. So it's simple, heureux. To dive a little deeper into this word, the feminine form of this word would be heureuse. This actually has a very cool pronunciation rule in it as well. You will see that I pronounced the ending of this word, but I didn't do that in the masculine form. Now, why is that? So the simple rule here is that if there is a letter like A or E or something else after the last consonant, then you will pronounce the last consonant as well. So in this word here, we can see that there is an E after the S, so I will say heureuse, so I will pronounce the ending as well. Next word is a very common one as well, and you should know it if you want to have conversations in French. It's avoir. It's a very commonly used verb, which means to have. Now, I love this verb because it has some pronunciation rules in it as well that are very helpful. For example, the combination O-I becomes wa, as it always does. So you just say it out loud. Avoir. Avoir. The second thing I wanted you to notice here with this word is the ending. It kind of falls off the cliff in a way. Avoir. Avoir. You need to say this word in a nonchalant way. You just throw it out there and you don't pronounce the ending as you would do in many languages. So it's avoir. 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 It's very nonchalant.